Hello and welcome to Trekker's Delight, a special episode. I'm joined by Keith Shovlin and Jermaine Watson. Thanks so much for being here today. We're doing a special episode covering episode 11, season 6 of Star Trek DS9, Waltz. Stay tuned and enjoy the show.
Every other vote.
I just want to know what we're going to be ready. Oh, wait, we're going live.
Here we are. Welcome once again to Trekker's Delight.
Like, literally, my mic falls down just as we go live. Hi, everybody!
Why is that person not even moving behind you?
That's what you're paying attention to?
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh my god, no.
Love that baseball and the teacup, like clearly TNG DS9 fans. So.
This was a nice touch.
The most.
No, everybody, this is actually one of the main screenwriters for Prodigy, so we are super excited to hear from you. And
No
also,
lesson.
I'm a little embarrassed for being as critical.
Man, I really love that intro.
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
I'm okay. Coming live from 6:40 a.m. in Abu Dhabi. I got to school early so I could come and hang with you guys. Yeah, life is good. Everything's good. Obviously, we're all doing our best with the January blues, but it's all good. How are you, Jermaine?
I'm well. And Keith, how are you?
I'm doing okay. It's 9:40 here, East Coast US, so capping off a long day. Oh, and Jason's here.
Jason's here too. He can
So-
figure out how to work his machinery.
And so today, Manny, we're covering Deep Space Nine's Waltz. Do you want to do an intro for us or like a recap of the episode?
Sure. Yeah, no problem. I'll just pull up a few screen caps. I don't know if I can do that actually, but
There we go.
yeah, hold on.
Good morning, Manny.
Morning, Jason. Nice.
Not that I'm not acknowledging Keith and
No.
Ryan. You both exist.
So
as
we
well.
we're starting with a scene where we get Gul Dukat on the end of Sacrifice of Angels, who is now being held by the Federation for War Crimes in his cell, and Cisco comes to visit him, and he asks him, he says that Cisco's apparently made. Cisco says that Dukat's made a remarkable recovery, and Dukat's happy because he's happy that the doctors aren't patronizing him because he had a total breakdown. And then throughout this entire exchange, Dukat is trying to elicit from Cisco the fact that he wants his opinion of him. He wants to know what he thought of him now that the war has ended and the guns are silent. And now they have him as a prisoner on his way to a war crime tribunal, basically for show. He's trying to placate him. Cisco euphemistically lets everything slide until the ship gets attacked by Cardassian fleet, and all of these Federation ships are in trouble. The crew back on DS9 are looking for missing crew, and they only have so much time to save them before they have to get back to cover. I believe they're protecting another convoy or something. Keith, you can correct me at any time. Yeah. And then, so they have only 50 hours plus or whatever. And so they have to go out. And then they're the sort of B story. And then you come back to the crash landing of Cisco and Ducat. And Ducat is taking care of Cisco. He's bound his arm in a splint. And now they just have to wait for someone to pick up the signal. So Ducat has told him that there is a signal, like a communications device that he's set up, and it's facing Cisco this way. And so they're having a sort of back and forth. Cisco asked, "You could have left me behind. Why didn't you?" Ducat said, "I didn't want to." And he goes out and he starts to hallucinate Wei-Yun and Kira and Damar and all of these cast of characters that are like playing around in his head as he tries to understand his new position as being free from a jail with his captor, possibly being picked up by the Dominion, the reversal of his fortunes that he tries to get Cisco to be on board with. Wei-Yun and him talk about you should kill him and be done with it. Damar, the same thing. Kira, they all urge him, but Ducat can't help himself. He wants Cisco to know that he's wrong before he kills him. And so they have back and forths within the cave. And Cisco, realizing he needs to bide his time, Cisco says he's not in much of a joking mood, and even though he's stuck there, he understands his position is very precarious. And he rebukes him and says, "We're not old friends. You saved my life," but that's kind of where it ends. And Ducat is trying to get his honest opinion out of this. And as Ducat becomes increasingly chaotic and unbalanced and unhinged, Cisco realizes that the communications device was actually never on. And while Ducat goes off, he asks Ducat to check the machinery to make sure that it's actually on, to understand his intent. And once he sees that it was actually offline instead of online, and then reaffirms that it is online, he understands that he's doing this on purpose. And then Cisco actually plans his escape. Before that, he didn't understand the intent or wasn't sure. He takes a small tine off of his fork. He makes sure that it's online. The crew gets like a beep, like a far off beep, before it gets destroyed by Ducat later. And then there's a confrontation between Cisco and Ducat where they talk about the extermination of the Bajoran populace under him as prefect of Bajor and his mass murder of 5 million Bajorans. And there's this back and forth at the end where they talk about the genocide of the Bajorans, how the occupation had already been going on for 40 years. And his first act as prefect, he ordered all labor camp commanders to reduce their output quotas to 50%. Child labor was abolished, medical care was improved, food rations were increased, and at the end of 1 month of his administration, the death rate had dropped by 20%. And how did they react? On his 1 month anniversary, they blew up an orbital dry dock, killing 200 Cardassians. His response? Measured, apparently, to kill 200 Bajorans. Not malevolence, justice. And Wei-Yun, the character, says the Dominion would never have been so generous, being part of the chorus of his mind. And Kira chiming in, as the sort of counter voice to that. And so this back and forth ensues with Cisco and Ducat, where Cisco says, "You have my undivided attention. Now let me get this straight. You're not responsible for what happened." And Cisco decides to confront him. And they talk about, and he says, "You hated them for all of those things, for the fact that they just didn't appreciate that they were the superior race. It was obvious to them that they were superior. And of course he hated them. He hated this, he hated that, their obstinacy, their religiosity, the way they clamored, the way they fought back to the occupation and resisted. And he admits that he should have killed them all, to which Cisco clunks him over the head, tries to make his escape. Ducat gets the better of him, takes off, signals, and Cisco's lying in a biobed and talking to Dax and realizes that there really is evil in the universe and that there isn't sometimes just shades of gray. The end.
Now, raise your hand if you've ever clunked someone over the head.
Well, knocked them out or just hit them over the head?
Just clunk somebody over the back of the head. Really? Okay. Tell me where you live so I could not go by there. I was just kidding. Yeah, interesting episode. On one part of me is kind of like, oh, it was kind of like a filler episode that I wasn't interested in. But another part of me is like, no, it has a lot to do with how uh, people have treated other people uh, throughout the history and the now of humanity, and just the simple thing that you said, Manny, about that they, you know, I'm sure there was a time where Ducat felt like he was helping the Bajoran people, but also he at the same time felt like, well, they're the superior race. They should be in this position, but while I'm in this position, I'm going to try to help these lower people. You know what I mean? And you get this thing in your head where it's like, I'm helping them, these lower people, to live, to live a better life. But they still have to stay in their place. That's
Yeah, where have we heard that before?
Seinfeld probably. I don't know.
He's
Is
so
Manny
silly.
moving? Oh man, he wasn't moving. So it's just another one of those things how Star Trek mimics real world life,
Yeah,
politics,
the human
history,
condition.
war, the human condition. Where I believe that Ducat really felt like he was in the right, and really felt like he was doing the right thing. Really
Well,
felt like he was doing good, but he wasn't.
Except until the end when he basically says he should have killed all of them, which
Right.
reveals how he really truly felt.
Well, it goes into things like I think people don't. There's like an evil within people, and they don't want to see it or deal with it. So take the American Indians and in the Americas, where the settlers would take American Indians and just keep moving them. They could have just slaughtered them all at the beginning, but they did not, because their morality told them, well, they should be allowed to live, right? But when they're in the way, we're just going to keep just moving them and moving them and moving them.
they
And
did kill quite a
inside
few as well.
themselves, they feel better about that because they haven't just slaughtered them. They didn't kill them.
And not adhering to the treaties, not adhering to their own laws.
Right.
Whenever there was a benefit to America, okay, well, our benefit is this, but that means that we're going to hurt Native Americans. Oh well, let's do it.
Right. I mean, it's like the current state of the country right now is that Native Americans should be here and doing this. Let's sign a treaty and do that. And then 50 years go by, things change, populations increase, and then they're like, okay, well, we put them there, but actually we can't be there because now we just learned there's oil over there, or there's this over there, or that over there. So let's just, it's like a fight you have within yourself to say, I don't want to be evil and touch that evil thing, but you are being evil. You're just not seeing it. And you're just pushing something aside, and you're just pushing a people, a population somewhere and saying you're doing good. Well, we'll just put them here. Oh, look at all that grass and wheat over there. We'll just put them over there. There's plenty of wheat. They might not like wheat, but whatever. But it's just turning a blind eye to the needs of a whole people just because of the needs of what your people are, and you feel your people have a almost God-given. I don't know if the Kardashians don't believe in God, but as far as we're talking about, the Earth, almost God-given right and superiority.
We're going to give them religion.
We're
going to give them a true religion, the one and only religion.
Right. So they just feel like they have the right to do that, and that's obviously still going on, today.
They had a saying, right, in the time about beating the Indian and like beating the Indian out of them, and that they wanted to make them into, right? They wanted to take the native, the savage out of them. You saw that reflected in like Brave New World and like other like pieces in that time where sorry, Jimmy, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Let me know.
Yeah. One book that I often read, I read it every year, is the narrative of Frederick Douglass. I reread it every year. It's a
Well, you
book
must
that
be smart.
it's thin. It's not that long.
Oh,
It's
well,
just
I'm just saying anything
Cultural
Frederick Douglass,
superiority.
yeah.
anything Frederick Douglass writes,
Oh, I
I,
love Frederick Douglass
I find myself feeling very unintelligent to.
because he's so eloquent. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
It's so
God.
high level,
Yeah,
right? Like,
and that's why people couldn't believe he was a slave. They're like, I read his biography and people didn't
right.
believe he was a slave. They're like,
That's
dude,
right.
you
He's an
weren't a
orator.
slave. Shut up. And he's like, no, I was a slave. And he was probably smarter than anybody he was talking to, white or
Right.
black or anybody. I'm sorry to interrupt you, by the way.
Yeah,
No,
Not
I
at
was
all.
just I was
That's
just
good.
gonna say, someone from Facebook said Ducat at one point speaks to Cardassian cultural superiority, and it's okay. He said he's sorry if he's misspelled Ducat. It's okay. It's okay.
Ducat's not here, so we don't care. He's not here to defend himself.
It's
No,
so
no,
true.
no. But it's so true. We've come to know and understand that the Bajorans culturally were at a place where it's like, look, we don't care about war. Even when the Cardassians came in, it's like, okay, we can deal with you. We can deal with you. It's okay, right? Until things got so bad that even the Bajorans had to rise up, and like, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Who would
Who
not?
wouldn't? That's why status quo in the history of the world is you take a land, you kill all the men, right? You raise the boys and
Like the Klingons. Yeah.
like right, kill all the men. You have at the women. I'll just put it that way. Have at the women, and you raise
Stalin,
the
Imperial
children and
Overseer.
indoctrinate the children into your way of society.
Which is exactly what they did to blacks in America. I mean, if you think about it, stripped blacks, or I should say Africans at that point, stripped them of their language, stripped them of their religion, stripped them of so many of their own cultural ties. Facebook user, so much so that we became acculturated. We more than assimilated, we acculturated. We adopted the culture of the dominant. I guess we, for lack of a better word, the dominant race at that particular point in time. Facebook user. But Ducat directly tells Cisco that Cardassians are the superior race technologically, militarily, and culturally.
Yeah, but that's all just his perception, because the Bajorans have taken on pacifism, and they perceive that pacifism as weakness, and therefore they're weaker. They are the weaker race in all ways.
Yes. And this is
Same thing happened in Avatar: The Last Airbender. I don't know if you ever watched
yeah.
it. And the Fire Nation.
Oh, the last Airbender. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That's actually really, really, really great.
There's a genocide of the Airbenders.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's at the same time you have this, as this teacher said, a perceived militarily, cultural. And the interesting, I went back and watched. I was reading, and it's like we were almost a century ahead of them. Like depending on the century, like this is the 20th or 21st century, right? It's a lot, like technologically. Like the beginning of it, we were like getting airplanes off the ground, and now we have like spaceships, and it's a lot in a century. But would that be the difference between you telling like another type of like people that we are like you had to have an inherent narcissism or an inherent arrogance or something imbued with some like idea or veneration or God spell to like say like we deserve this, like we are incumbent as like and then that occupation runs 50 years plus. We come at DS9 at the beginning of DS9, and it's the end of the occupation, the beginning of the provisional government.
I think the history of humankind is about superiority. I mean, no matter where you go,
Well,
it's not about white people at all. Superiority is you could take the Mongols, you could take the Koreans, you could take it. No matter where you go, it's about because life is hard, resources are scarce, and you have to be stronger, and the stronger people took over. And we use the word weaker. Sometimes they were just weaker, but sometimes they were just more docile, and they were like, well, we don't. Here's the thing with Jack Handy, and he says, I can envision a world of no war. I can envision a world with nothing but peace. And I can envision us taking over that world because they would never see it coming.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, we know from them when they're planning those later seasons, the Next Generation, and then Deep Space Nine, that the direct archetype for the Cardassians and the Bajorans is the apartheid in South Africa, and the white overclass ruling the black civilians, not giving them the vote, not giving them rights or shared anything.
Right. I mean,
Facebook
that's gone
user.
on for hundreds of years.
Yeah, Far Beyond the Stars was 2 episodes after Waltz, so the same season. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That year.
Far Beyond the Stars exists. My thing is that, and this is what Star Trek doesn't do very well, is if you look at the Cardassian Empire and the amount of territory that they take up, and they're in the Alpha Quadrant. Like we as a Federation, I say we, like I live there. We as a Federation have a prime directive, right?
Mhm.
Cardassians don't have that. Romulans don't have that. Klingons don't have that. So there has to be so much territory that they have actually taken over. There has to be so many worlds that they have taken and controlled. And I think Bajor is just one of them.
Well,
You know?
we saw that with the Native American colony on Journey's End in Next Generation. It was a Federation plan because they created the demilitarized zone, and they chose to live under Cardassian rule.
Yes.
They didn't want to have to move again.
Is that when Wesley left?
Yes.
Well, hold on. Watch TV touch me.
One thing I want to point out, I noticed this time watching the episode that I never noticed before. Listen to Ducat's voice when he is in the brig. At the time, Mark Lama was 55 years old. Not that old, but his voice, he's so worn down, so tired, so defeated, that as soon as they get to the planet, he's back to his old boisterous, intense voice. There's so much strength once he's out of that brig and feels that he's just a couple steps away from freedom.
Right.
He believes he is free. And not only does he believe he's free, but he also believes that he's in control. Mm-hmm. He has control of the situation. And so that a lot, it peppers his mindset in terms of the decisions that he's making. Number one, helping nurse Benjamin Sisko. Like, I wouldn't have done that. If I was someone's prisoner, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have killed him. I would have left him to die, but I would have been out of there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, the important question is, what would Trump have done in that situation?
Oh, Lord.
Hey, why am I getting Facebook user and not a person's name?
Well, that's you?
No. I'm seeing the comments, but I'm just getting Facebook user, and I'm not getting a person's name.
There are a couple of comments. I wanted to hit this because they specifically mentioned Keith's name. I don't know Keith. I just read him as Slimy in the Brig. What are your thoughts, Keith?
No, I felt that he was defeated. I mean, we saw him at his lowest point in Sacrifice of Angels after Zial is dead, and he is literally in the Deep Space Nine brig, just saying her name over and over again. He's mentally broken. And then here we are, and we see him, praying. We see him saying he's taking a full recovery, trying to go boisterous, but there's just that voice. It's like he's trying to be the Ducat he always was, but his voice is failing him. But then once he's free, he's completely back to being the Ducat of old.
All right, and then I'm assuming that this is Marie because Marie says, it's Marie. I believe Marie is saying Jermaine. He does that because he needs the emissary's validation, and I totally get that. But at the same time, he's in a different position than he was when he was in the brig, which gives him the credence to be a bit more bold.
I think Marie is avoiding me because she's only on when I'm not on the show.
She says she doesn't disagree.
He definitely is. I'm just trying to figure out how many lies he actually told. Like, did the lieutenant actually die from shrapnel, or did Ducat kill him?
He killed him. Yeah.
And when he says good morning and talks about how many days it's been, like, has it really been that long, or has it really been like 20 minutes and he's just lying to Cisco over and over again about how long it's been?
I want to know how many of you like the character of Ducat. Do you like his character? Do you like his villain? The villain? Yeah, love him. Yeah, I enjoy him too, and also his right hand man,
Damar.
Who's so faithful. Damar is so fucking faithful. You know what I mean? He know. It's not. I don't want to say he knows his place, but he believes in Ducat. Actually, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish they had done a little bit more with Damar. And part of the reason why I say I wish they had done more with him because these character actors that they brought on to Deep Space Nine are in some cases probably more important than the regular cast, than some of the regular cast members. Okay. And I always felt that Damar had the potential to be that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hear you now.
Okay, sorry.
You look like you're in a jail cell almost.
He's at school.
It's a classroom, so kind of. Yeah.
Oh, it's a classroom. It's a jail cell. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot.
Yeah, I loved Mark Alamo as he's such a good actor. If you've ever, I'm sure you've watched the DS9, the What We Leave Behind, the documentary series, and then they're all sitting in like the cast, you know, like they're all chilling and stuff, and he's still like sleazing on like Nana Visitor, and he's like, I wanted her. He's like, that's what I wanted. He's like, that's, and he was that, but he was really good. No, I understand for sure. She was the rocket, but it came across as this wonderfully cloying narcissism. He was trying to bring Ziyal into. He had 7 other kids. You know, he was the leader at one time. Like he was the height when he was in the Tapa conference, whatever. Yeah, he jumped to the civilian network. He was just riding the crest of power. The Kai was the same way, right? Yeah. It's just that so once they were able to weaponize their people's sort of ethos, they were those people who were just sociopathic enough to be able to manipulate masses of people, regardless of the individual circumstances. Now it's just him one-on-one with an ethical man like Cisco, and unmovable. And Cisco throughout this whole time, right?
So right now we're really talking about Trump. We're really talking about Trump.
But do you think that is universal for at least, let's say, pre-technological species, is this idea of conquer?
I came up with this idea, but it turned out I didn't come up with it, of evolutionary politics when I was an evolutionary biology graduate person. And I thought about this idea. I was looking into bonobos and chimps, and there's these different kinds of chimps, and bonobos are a type of chimpanzee species offshoot that solve everything sexually and by petting, and they have a lot of grooming ritualization, but 97% of their interactions are nonviolent, whereas chimps are quite violent. So you ask yourself, and again, you're talking about might versus right, and like strength being what pushes evolutionarily through. It's not. It's adaptation. It's the niche in the ecology.
Oh my!
Hey,
what up, though?
Oh, he's got like a Thai class. Anybody else got a Thai class in here? No,
not today.
You came straight from a fundraiser, didn't you?
Oh, you can leave it on, man.
I came straight from class.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
He's gonna Mr. Rogers on us real quick.
Oh.
We want to see you change your shoes too.
No, those are already off. You know, some sad reason it decided to snow here.
Where you?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Acting like this is Andoria. We don't need snow. We don't need it.
You're gonna see some blind. Andorians.
Well, so Marie makes a point here. This episode went a different direction. Yet, that's because every other TV series that has a villain like Ducat, at some point he hits his redemption arc, and that's what this episode. If you're not going into it, you expect it to be the beginning of his redemption arc, and it doesn't. He stays the same old asshole he always was.
Do you think he tries, or do you think it's just that's his nature? I mean,
I think he
because of
truly believes it.
right.
It's like his nature, exactly. The scorpion and the frog, right? Like you can't help the
Right.
The frog says, I'm not going to take you across the pond. And the scorpion's like, I won't sting you. He's like, yes, you will. And then we'll both drown. And then as he stings him, he says, why'd you do it? He's like, it's my nature.
Yeah.
And then Chakotay, gets 7 separated from the Borg Collective, and we get 3 more seasons of Voyager.
Right. Scorpion. Oh,
Yes,
Scorpion.
Marie, you're absolutely right. He's a hero of his own narrative all the time, 100%. Cannot put himself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah, but when you're on
Well, I
top
get that
and you have conquered and you have done this and you have succeeded, what would keep you from having that attitude the entire time? Like, what do you need to see and experience
He
to
wants
be what?
he wants to be loved.
True. We all want to be loved, right?
You know the end part of 1984 when they
I don't
go
know
to
if he wanted.
Walnut Cafe?
Oh, I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
Oh, the end of 1984, the book, when they go to the Walnut Cafe, and the last final act of like their brainwashing is that he loves the dear leader before they blast him in the head. That's what I think of Ducat in this moment, is like he can't kill Cisco before he has that validation, that vindication, that authentication.
Right.
Of like,
That's exactly what I was about to say. It's not so much love, so much as what Manny just said. I think that's his driving force. I think that it feeds his ego.
Because he could have at the beginning just killed him and send out a Cardassian distress call, right? But he didn't do that. That would have been simple. But why do you think he was hallucinating so much?
His daughter had just died.
Yeah,
He was
he's gone
greatly
crazy.
depressed.
So this is what like Gene Roddenberry, Rick Berman were worried about, because when I was watching the episode, I was like, "Fuck, I gotta watch a couple episodes before this again to remember exactly what led up to what's happening right now in this episode, because it does not stand alone if you don't know what's going on."
I don't think Gene Roddenberry was concerned about serializing the show. It was the producers of CBS that were concerned. They were like, people ain't gonna follow this.
They could stream it, right?
That didn't exist.
Streaming in the 1990s.
Hey, a really awesome time in my life is when I had.
Hey, that's my mom.
That's your mom? What?
Oh,
Hey.
My mama packed me some baklava today.
Is this the first mom?
I was just about to say.
Mama's watching. Good for you, Mom.
Is this the first mom we've had on the show?
Well, other than Marie, yeah.
I mean, I know she is a mom.
Yeah. That's right.
Hi, Manny's mom.
So yeah, this was a great episode. I mean, there was a lot. I mean, again, I like sometimes bottle shows are hard to watch because you're just stuck in one room or whatever. But this one was, I think it paid off. It's the 6th season. It was late in the actual show.
Yeah, it's late.
A lot of stuff had happened. It's kind of like, the first season of TNG, and then Picard goes home in the episode Family.
Right.
And then he's sort of decompressing. No one likes that one.
Oh, I didn't like it. Oh, when I first saw it, I didn't like it. I think all these years later, I have a different appreciation for it.
Yeah,
it was so well with Best of Both Worlds.
I'm sorry, Keith?
It pairs so well with Best of Both Worlds. There's the need to reset after.
It actually really does pair with that, and it gives you even more insight into not Generations. What's out of Generations?
First Contact.
First Contact, and his feelings about his family. No,
that was in Generations, where the brother and nephew were killed in the fire.
Was that Generation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Renee?
Yeah.
To the Ducat Cisco dynamic, I really love that it really, sometimes when it comes to like a series finale, you can kind of find yourself asking like, how did we get here? And I really feel like not only did they set that up across the entire arc of them being nemesis, clearly being like nemesis, but this was like, it really foreshadowed the final battle that they had
Yes.
to have,
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
ultimately eradicate each other, because neither one of them could really actually kill the other one, even though I think Cisco would try it a couple of times.
Right. But you don't know, Cisco wouldn't just kill
Or-
somebody just because he's there. That's he wouldn't do that. He might
Didn't he
apprehend them.
poison a whole
Oh,
planet
he
for 50
did.
years?
That's
Yeah,
later.
remember when he went
He
after
became
Eddington and he
badass.
poisoned the planet? Yeah.
What's interesting though
That's
is
the
that like
monkey.
Ducat was trapped on the
Eddington.
planet with Cisco, and Ducat was trapped on the planet with Kira, both people who he has relationships with. You know, I would like to see a Ducat trapped on a planet with like O'Brien, or Ducat trapped on a planet with Worf. You know, like
Oh.
Mhm,
Well, it would be the
something
same cave set. But yeah,
mhm. You
Something
said the
like that.
cage?
the cave, same cave.
Oh, okay.
I know,
Yeah,
super.
the cave from this episode is the same cave from the every other time he's taken steps.
Is it probably?
Yeah.
Can we just roll that cave in here for this for this show? I mean, it's like the original Star Trek had like the same fucking planet it went down to.
Michael's point though is well taken. That like it was all set up. You know what I mean? Like it was well worth it when you got to the final. And at the end of this episode, when Cisco's sitting in the bed, he's like, "It's gonna be him or me." Oh, Michael had to bounce. I just saw. Bye, Michael.
No, he didn't leave. I don't know
Didn't
what
he?
happened.
Well, I removed myself so that I could go eat.
So, but just
That's all he had
having
to
seen
say.
the episode where Cisco, went mercilessly after Eddington, and just
Right.
how they
Yes.
had that whole Javert and Jean Valjean profile relationship, and now we see Cisco has resigned himself when it comes to Ducat that it's more like Moby Dick. And I even consider this when Ducat had the breakthrough and when he's ranting about why he should have killed the Bajorans, I saw such direct parallels to Picard in First Contact when he's speaking to Lily about why
To the
he
Borg.
must hold the Borg accountable.
I was gonna say I would love to see Picard pursue someone like that, and I mean, and they did it in, like you said, in First Contact. But for Picard to have like some nemesis that was just breaking Federation law and like just for him to be so disturbed on the actions of someone just to go after him like that, I think that would have been great. And that,
Yeah.
not even just in one episode, over a few episodes, but you didn't have
They set it up with
series.
3 episodes left to Next Generation with Roe, but then they ran out of episodes and let that sit
Cool.
for 25 years.
But with Roe, it wasn't really like a vengeance thing. I mean, it was a pursuit, but
It didn't pay off, right?
didn't pay off as much. But I did, but you did understand his disappointment in her.
Right.
I guess.
And one thing about Picard and Ducat, we did see Mark Alemo with Picard as a Cardassian in the first appearance of the Cardassians in the next
Gold
generation.
Musset.
Yes. But we never saw Ducat and Picard together, but we find out in the Confederation timeline that it was Ducat that essentially killed Picard and why he was put in the silicon body, and that altered the timeline.
Huh.
Picard killed Ducat and Ducat sort of killed Picard.
Huh.
Well, I think something they missed out on, this kind of changing the subject, was having Roe and Picard having a way better presence in the series. Not even that series, but at least that season. Like have her have like a real presence in that.
Well, it's her availability.
You mean besides that one episode?
But yeah, I mean, it was great to see her, and it was disappointing to see her there and then go. I wanted to learn more about what she's doing and
Yeah.
she's been. It would have been, I think it would have been great.
I mean, that was another woman I had a crush on.
Yeah. Did you see her on? You saw on BSG, right? That's not your show. You don't watch that.
BSG?
Battlestar Galactica.
Oh.
I saw her
Yes.
in Guiding Light.
I forgot.
I saw her in Star Trek.
Guiding Light, yeah.
That's true. That's true.
I was gonna say you don't watch Battlestar Galactica because it's must-watch sci-fi.
No, I do. I mean, I did. Well, I did. I've been catching up on it too. like going
Nice.
back and rewatching.
There's a new one coming, I think.
Yeah,
Is it really?
yeah.
Awesome sauce. Do they still say awesome sauce? Probably not.
Well, I
It's
mean,
2024. Do what you want.
As long as it doesn't impinge on the rights or on others.
So I believe it was Keith that mentioned the fact that this particular episode was directed by Renee. I'm not gonna mispronounce his name. Odo. hmm And it struck me for a second that he probably wanted that particular episode because it locked two characters in and they had to perform. They had to perform. Both of them had to perform in order for that particular episode to succeed. And I think the two of them did an excellent job. I think the character of Benjamin Sisko, he was much less relaxed, or much more relaxed than I was used to, especially in the first couple of seasons of DS9, where he would have been shouting. He wasn't shouting. And I don't know if it's because his arm was broken and he was a bit.
He was playing chess. He was being strategic.
Yeah.
He needed to understand the lay of the land. By that I mean the lay of Dukat and what he was doing, why he wasn't dead. You know, he needed to understand what Dukat was doing.
Rene Auberjonois also did the bottle episode with Kira in the cave, when he finally admits to the other changeling who's pretending to be Kira that he's in love with her. Do you remember the one? She's slowly turning to crystal.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Maybe that's why he did this direction.
I'm sorry, Manny. What did you say?
No. There's an episode early where Odo has to admit that he's in love with Kira because the changeling is pretending to be Kira, and then they crash land on like an asteroid, and she's like slowly turning to stone. He's tried every frequency, and then Kira's like admitting that she loves him, and Odo's like, "I love you, you don't love me," and he realizes it's a changeling. But it's a bottle episode because the changelings are trying to figure out Odo, and I get it's also like in a cave, and so maybe that's why he directed that one as well. Like he'd had a one-on-one kind of a thing. So
there's like this crystalline rock that's just growing up.
Yeah.
Up.
Right.
Yeah. This would be kind of a crappy way to go.
So what were your thoughts? Do you all remember watching this particular episode years ago, back in the 90s? Do you remember watching
it?
I remember completely misunderstanding it. I thought that the Dominion actually saved Dukat. I didn't realize that they were all in his imagination when I watched.
Okay.
And it probably just me misremembering it.
Okay. All right. Man.
Hey.
Do you remember the episode from years ago?
This one?
Yeah.
Waltz?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I.
And your thoughts?
The episode, as a counterpoint to what we'd seen in the 6th season up until that point, which was basically the culmination of like this huge space opera where like we're watching DS9 Taken, we have this season, and then they take it back. And then right after that, when Zial's dead, and we feel, we've gone through all of this stuff. It's taken seasons and seasons. We have this episode, Waltz. And it deals with the ethical ramifications of everything that just happened and the breakdown of a genocidal narcissist at the head of an empire who had just come to try to justify his actions. He kept saying, not malevolence, justice. And Sisko, Judge Sisko passes another order, and that he's being judged by Sisko. But what's really happening is he admires Sisko. His admiration for him is and he can't stand not being equal with him, that he thinks he's like, they're both heads of empires. They're both bosses, and so he keeps equivocating, he's the one who took over the station from him. Right. And that's the baseball going back and forth, leaving it on the desk and whatever. He takes the baseball back, DS9, Trucker's Delight, baseball spinning. The baseball has been returned. And now he's broken. His daughter's dead. Now he's thinking, should I have killed Zial? Should I have made a different move? Was this foretold? What could I have done differently? and he's like breaking down to a Federation like psychotherapist, and like, do I detect the hand of He's at the hands of what he believes are lesser peoples, and they are taking comfort on him. In the beginning, he's like, I'm going to this trial, and it's presumed in the Federation that you're innocent before guilty. He's like, yeah, I get that. Because in the Kardashian judicial system, you're always guilty.
Mhm.
So this is a people who also have the arrogance and the self-centeredness that don't allow innocence in their judicial system. That the state can never be wrong. The state always comes first. Garrick was the same way, right? Like the forever tale that he passed on to Bashir is like an enigma tale. It's like, it's just every generation of like one
Same
state
thing
after
over and over and over
same
again.
thing.
Nothing changes.
And so that is you're talking about people who are motivated by like a state class. Like they're all of their spycraft, all of their statecraft is like towards the state.
Mhm.
And so that like completely is so
It's a
different.
myopic view of things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it really comes to a head. Like he is the only Cardassian in the cave. He's the only human in that cave. And they come to this point, to this head, and Sisko realizes Dukat thinks that he's this great enemy, and Sisko's like, I don't even. He just thought he didn't realize how evil he was. He didn't realize how broken he was to get to this point. He just thought that he was a manipulative guy who was just cresting the wave of power until this moment, until he realized that he truly did believe. He was despotic. He was actually like brutal. And that brutality, it came through. Sorry, all that.
Jason, your thoughts from when you first saw this particular episode?
Well, it's hard to say what I thought when I first saw this episode. I might have even thought it was boring. So let me say that when I first watched Deep Space Nine, I was not a fan of Deep Space Nine. Right, I've said this before. No, it was my least favorite Star Trek.
When did you watch it? Let's put this into context.
Oh, bro, I don't know. I think I was in Southern Illinois. Oh my God,
College?
shut up. College, yeah.
College, okay.
And then it was on. I had a square TV, 4x3.
So
right?
did I.
And I would watch it, and then but I liked it less than TNG just because it was radically different. It was a soap opera, and I was looking for more TNG, like Voyager was. I love Voyager, so I don't think I took it in the same way. Like now when I watch it, I find it a bit upsetting, and it's not because I find my mind moving away from Star Trek and it's upsetting because of I think about humanity and the history and man and what is true and what has happened and what still happens, and I find myself wondering, how people can look at other people in certain ways when you talk about their dominance and their superiority. I see homeless people on the street or whatever, and I don't really feel like I'm superior to them. Just born to parents at the right time at the right place. But I know that I know that this complex that people have exists and it has existed throughout time, and I find that a bit disturbing. How humans have treated other humans because how they perceive other humans to be. Like we can't we don't know anyone's thoughts and minds. You're only aware of yourself, and that's it. Everything else can be an illusion of reality, whatever. So they have this perception of that what somebody is, and just to be like, just because you're you and I don't even know you, I'm going to make this perception of you, and this is how you should be treated, and this is where you should live, and this is where you should go, and this is what you should do, and you will never have this because this is my perception of you. And I find that a bit repulsive in a way. And it's kind of embarrassing as far as a trait of humanity. So that's where I go with it. I totally leave, like, when I see some certain stories like that, I totally leave Star Trek. I understand the story,
Understandably so.
and but it I find myself drifting to a place that's extremely uncomfortable. But I guess that's the point of
Right.
that's the point of
Right.
certain stories in Star Trek is to take you to those places and for them to say, hey, this is the world that you live in, and these are fake aliens on fake planets and fake things, but what we're telling you is that this stuff exists and you need to understand it and maybe deal with it and not do that or do this.
Right. As for me, when I first saw this particular episode, I believe I was still in college. I think at this particular point in time, I was at LSU. And so what I was learning in my classes, I, I took, my degree was in political science, but there was like a minor within political science, and I dealt with international politics or whatever. And so we were learning a whole lot about Europe, specifically Germany. And so my brain was thinking about Hitler, right? Germany, World War II, Hitler, all of that. And I was thinking to myself, this is probably what Hitler was thinking. And then because I'm a black man, I was also thinking about what Americans were probably thinking about. Were probably thinking about blacks in America. So I had those two trains of thoughts going on at the same time, and so I wasn't just looking at that particular story a lot like Jason, but I was thinking about those other stories, kind of like the intersectionality of where this story fit into what was becoming my worldview. And I was like, wow, this is a great glimpse into the psyche of a person who would think that way, juxtaposed with I don't know, a Western mindset, especially rooted in, I guess, the United Nations, because when I was in school, the United Nations was just pushed on us like these are the ideals that we profess, right? Ideals, not necessarily reality. But Star Trek is idealistic, and so that was how I was viewing that particular episode, and I just thought to myself that Dukat was extremely crazy. Um, I think it was Keith who mentioned, I don't remember who it was, but someone said, did you like Dukat as a character?
Yeah.
And I loved Dukat as a character, but I hated his character.
Yeah.
You hate Dukat, you hate him, but you love
He does it.
character it was.
He does it well. He plays it well. He's usually written very well. He fits his character fits in the persona of what it is supposed to be and what he is supposed to be in DS9. His where he's supposed to fit. He fits in there very well.
Keith, do you want to tell us about your first experience with Waltz?
I said it when we started talking.
Sorry, I didn't. I apologize.
Yeah.
So
Michael.
Yeah.
So I was, I watched DS9, and to Jason's point, I hated DS9 when I first watched it, and it was not because I thought it was bad. I just didn't understand anything that was going on because I was like in high school, and I could only catch reruns, and none of it made sense.
There you go. That's exactly what they want to happen.
Look at those execs actually knowing something. And so I actually didn't really watch DS9 all the way through until I had graduated college and had gotten Netflix. I couldn't afford it back then. And so I was probably about 22, 23. And I actually watched it all the way through. And I remember watching the episode and I was like, I can't believe it was just the two of them this whole damn episode. Yeah. And I went back and watched it again. And I remember thinking about Dukat. My initial thought was, he's so stupid and weak for not killing like Sisko when he had a chance. And it really struck me as this man that not kind of understanding the complexity of this relationship and understanding the dynamic of the whole series really in its totality, and not analyzing Star Trek from the lens of the full character arc, but more so just kind of watching it for the first time. And I remember it was one of the few episodes I went back and watched again immediately. And I just thought, again, he was so weak and just like insane for not just ending it there. Now that, again, I'm a little bit more formed in my thoughts a bit, I definitely see the duality that these two men had on the screen. And it was so poignant there that it really allowed for you to see like the chaotic evil and the neutral good going at it. And that dynamic really just made for spectacular, like in my opinion, spectacular or spectacular performance. And I don't know who said it earlier. They put these two guys in, Manny, I think it was you. They put these two actors in a room and they were like, act.
Right.
And earn this check. You gonna earn this check today. And if you ain't ready to earn this check, you can get off this set. And it was very, very touching and moving. And when you look at now and you think about world events in the political context of today, where you have global powers shifting and erasure in some respects of identities and land and places, it's very telling to look at two leaders of two respective at this time galactic powers, but and kind of put that same dynamic into today's context and try to understand how some of these movers and shakers that we have here today in present times are attempting to reshape the globe in their own image. Jermaine, I find it very striking. I think it very poignant, I'd rather say, your comparison of Dukat and Hitler at that time, given kind of where you were at in college and what you were studying. I think I would probably give. I think I would probably, if I had a leader I had to compare Dukat to, I don't think it was, yes, he was genocidal. But I think in terms of like American politics, I would really give Dukat kind of almost a Newt Gingrich.
Wow.
I'm serious.
I agree with you there, Michael.
Yeah, and I mean, like his approach to
zero sum.
Definitely a zero sum game. And also just a very animalistic, dogmatic fight for power,
self-delusion.
Yeah, and his fight to hold on to even at that time what was a crumbling empire, not in terms of American as a country, but as a party. And so I think that it's very, it's just a very poignant comparison, and it's really striking how there's still so much relevance that you see in these two characters today, and how you see these archetypes still echoed throughout our everyday lives. And we're just really, I think, blessed to have that captured on film, and we now have streaming, and so we can go back and see it anytime.
I just remembered there's another bottle episode with Ducat and Kira when they go to the planet to get Zio. They're also
Yeah, that's what I was saying
Mhm.
before. And somebody gets stabbed in the ass, right?
Yeah.
He sits on a sand spine.
I gotta go.
right.
I see you
Okay.
guys.
All right.
See you, Manny. Thank you for
See you,
joining
Manny.
us. And look, we're at that 1 hour mark. Do we have Manny? Thank you for joining us. Do we have any parting words? This was a very cerebral show, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. Let's start with let's go ahead and start with Michael since he was the last to join us.
I don't know what the parting words were because I don't know what the words were said before I got here.
About the episode.
I would just say
Concise though. Concise.
Yeah, I got you. We know you're gonna fuss for being over an hour. I would just say whenever you get the opportunity to elevate, when Star Trek gets the opportunity to elevate, I love when it elevates. Whenever they're able to take truly dynamic and captivating figures that we see every day and lock them into these battles, I think it really makes for spectacular entertainment, and also, again, has a timeless value. And we also now know that all you need is one fork time and you can fix any communication device in the future. So always keep a fork on you.
Jason?
I'm going to say, I'm going to comment on something that Captain Greer said when he was trying to pinpoint who. Well, actually, you started it, Jermaine. I think that Ducat was Hitler, and I think it's less about trying to figure out an actual figure that he represents. I think what he represents is a type of people, you know, and in every aspect, the type of people who just decide that they have the right to conquer and the right to lead and the right to be in power, you know, undemocratically, manifest destiny, um, that sort of thing. I feel like it was more about that because, you know, like you said, there's things going on right now. And I've said this before, I say it again, nobody owns land, in my opinion, ever. There's only two types of land you can keep, land you're strong enough to keep, and land you're strong enough to take. And that's still going on right now. And it's it's a sad issue, but that's really what I think that this or people you can control, you know, if you want to. And I think that's a sad dynamic of humanity, and I just wonder how widespread that is throughout the galaxy.
Keith?
So I just looked it up real quick on Memory Alpha. The next time we see Ducat after this episode, he's in Far Beyond the Stars, but as a vision, as part of Sisko's vision of the 1950s America. Then we have him come back in Wrong's Darker Than Night, where he celebrates Kira's mother's birthday, and we find out that he had that she lived with him, and then we did go back in time, so we only see him for a brief thing as Ducat in this. So really, the next time we really see him, where he's really being himself on screen, is when he shows up on Deep Space Nine in the season finale and kills Jadzia. So just knowing that he basically, with him getting freedom now and getting out, is building towards the way the season ended with the horrible loss of Jadzia Dax, and it was not something they knew they were going to do at the time this episode came out. But just knowing the next steps of where he's going makes you wonder, makes you think about how they played off how his story is going in this episode. Just knowing where it's going to.
Yeah.
Kind of wish things were slightly different.
Thank you, Keith. Do we have any news?
We got a few things. There's been talk the past couple weeks, a lot of movie news. Apparently, Paramount is moving forward with 2 movies in the Kelvin universe.
What?
It is disgusting.
Star Trek 4 continuing to be.
You'll be
a
there to
thing.
watch it.
I
And,
will. It's still nasty.
and another one that is a prequel to Star Trek 2009 that's supposed to be further exploring the differences between the Prime universe and the Kelvin universe.
What, a movie exploring the differences? That's really weird.
Yeah. And
Who's the main character?
we
Or
don't
main
know yet.
characters?
All we know is who is directing it. And what is this?
I really would still like to see a Captain Kirk emergence movie.
Yeah,
I'm so tired of Captain Kirk.
Yeah, the person who directed it, who's directing it, Toby Haynes, is also known for directing the Black Mirror episode USS Callister, which is a Star Trek.
Oh, that was cool. That was a cool episode.
We had some award shows. Unfortunately, Star Trek did not win anything at the Critics' Choice Awards or at the Emmys. We had 2 award wins. Jerry Ryan won Best Actress at the Astra TV Awards, and Terry Matalas won for Jerry Ryan for Best Supporting Actress in a Drama Streaming Series, and Terry Matalas picked up the award for Best Writing in a Streaming Drama Series for season 3 of Picard, specifically the finale, The Last Generation.
Okay, season 3. Okay.
Eye roll time.
And I can't believe that Star Trek didn't get any makeup, any lighting, any.
Yeah, it has been nominated for a couple other awards that was announced this week. The Cinematographers Guild has nominated Strange New Worlds for their awards, and what was the other ones? Lower Decks, Picard, and Strange New Worlds are also been nominated for awards in the Sound Editing and VFX Guilds. So that's the MPSC and Visual Effects Society. Nicole DeBoer is returning to the role of Ezri Dax in Star Trek Online, where she is now Captain Ezri Dax, and she will be appearing in 2 weeks of stories in that game, along with the return of Garrett Wang as Captain Harry Kim.
How did that happen?
Why y'all just laugh at that man?
Look at him finally getting back. Whoever he pissed off either died or is on hospice.
No lieutenant, commander, nothing. Just captain.
Why does everybody always like become captain and not just be like engineers for life? Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Miles O'Brien.
There's only so many captain spots.
Professor.
Yeah. Well, remember, O'Brien wasn't an officer. He was an
he's
enlisted
petty
man.
chief.
True.
A couple other quick things. Let's see. It was announced that season 5 of Discovery will actually premiere a couple weeks earlier, because the first episode will be first shown at South by Southwest.
What day? What day?
What was that? March.
Let's talk about it, people.
March 8th through 16th. It's South by Southwest runs, and
you're
one of
right.
the nights they
You're
will
right.
be showing the premiere episode of season 5. And we got a synopsis. Captain Burnham and the USS Discovery are sent to retrieve a mysterious 800-year-old Romulan vessel. Now, 800 years would mean, 2300s. So next generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager era.
Wait, so doesn't captain mean that you command a ship though?
No.
That
Not necessarily.
Remember,
Not necessarily.
the JAG Corps essentially are all captains. All of the Solicitor Generals were all rank of captain. There are a number of positions that come with the rank of captain without having a ship.
We were talking about it when we did Star Trek, when we watched Star Trek 5 a few weeks ago. In Star Trek 4, 5, and 6, well, 5 and 6, there are 3 captains on the Enterprise. Because there's Captain Kirk in command, there's Captain Spock as head of science, and there's Captain Scott, head of engineering.
But it does also make sense for Harry Kim to command the ship, because he actually was trying to do that and wanting to do that, and he was having a night shift and all that sort of deal. So it does make a lot of sense for him to actually do that. I was just saying in general, like, it seems like everybody just always becomes captain and has their own ship.
I mean, I feel like everybody just says Janeway hated on him, but he just wasn't ready.
And one last bit of news: William Shatner is not happy with the way Trek is going and feels that he's being erased from Star Trek.
He says that every year.
He's
Tired of
done.
him.
I mean, whatever.
Y'all know
I
what that
saw
means.
him 2 years ago on a Star Trek thing.
Y'all know what that means, right?
Nothing.
He running out of money.
He's not making money from Boston legal reruns.
Those
No, TJ Hooker reruns.
Right.
Look,
But,
I love
goes up to
those.
Ticonderoga, New York 3 times a year.
those royalty checks be getting a little smaller. Inflation.
Yeah, he's got to write another book to get more money.
Tech Lab.
Oh, by the way, I did pick up this past
You
week.
know, him going to space cost a little something.
All right. Hey,
Hold on.
I don't know if we're ending now, but
Yeah, we are.
everybody who's watching, if you like what you see, like and subscribe and share with other like-minded people like you to keep us going, keep us running. We love that you're here. Thank you, and we will be doing it again next week.
Jason, you stole my thunder. So with that,
Wait, Jason, on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you being right now? I gotta know.
I'm serious, dude. You got
Like 10 out of
I'm
10
100%
serious, or picking on Michael serious? Which one?
There is no temperature in space. It's not cold.
What are you serious?
Okay, wait.
Who is? Oh dear God! It just
it's
got
because you
better.
said his name.
Welcome to the party, Michael.
No, that is not how we're going to end the episode
No.
because Keith
No.
actually has like a legitimate news update. He knows shit, and we should possibly like convey that knowledge.
That's
to
my
other
favorite
people.
line. He knows shit.
It's just like a black and red mound. It's like,
Why are you describing yourself?
what the hell?
Hello from
Hey, Virgil.
Hey,
Hey, Virgil.
welcome.
Hello, Virgil. Welcome. Who are you?
Who?